We're talking with the guy who runs TikTok.
Two young entrepreneurs, two young engineers, and they were starting a company. They
And he's
recognized
blah.
an opportunity to
He's
build
got kids.
a product that people wanted. Started building a product. I had a chance to invest in them and became friends. And slowly, like any good startup story,
go away.
the product grew bigger and bigger, and today it's become the size of TikTok and whatever we have today. So that's been a journey. It's been unbelievable. I couldn't have imagined 10 years ago that it would be of this scale today.
Let's go straight, if we could, to sort of the large headline that I think it is perhaps the cloud that's over here in the U.S.
Oh, that's me.
Try to understand how you think about it.
That's me.
Because there is not a lot of bipartisan support for most things here in the U.S., as you know, but there seems to be some bipartisan agreement around TikTok and what is perceived as the danger of it. And this idea
No,
that
there's
it
no
is
perception.
ultimately
It is
controlled
dangerous.
by the Chinese and therefore the Chinese government.
It has nothing to do with that, but it has everything to do with that.
When you hear that headline, what do you think?
I think, first of all, that we take all these concerns very seriously. We have been studying them, and for the last couple of years, we've been working with CFIUS.
Don't work with them. Get off. Stop it.
To try and solve what we think is a very solvable problem. The problem that we have, can really requires third-party verification, and it requires transparency. And the solution.
Third-party hold on.
You must.
That was my idea. Third-party verification, which is what I told you about with doTERRA products. And then transparency is also my word, which is basically being honest and letting everyone see all of the aspects of it.
I've read about this. It's called Project Texas. That's the project name internally.
That project internal is mine.
And the idea is that we will take the data that you have in Virginia and in Singapore, where TikTok user data is stored today.
Hold on a minute. They said Virginia, which is where I initially started my TikTok page.
Move it into a third-party cloud infrastructure and
moving your information into a third-party cloud infrastructure, which is what they do already. However, they keep your information because I want to know what happened to my other accounts that I've created. Because as you know, with Hillary Clinton and her black box screening where she had to utilize there's some kind of black mark out, meaning my information of being Jesus' lifetime is all documented. And the Chinese have it.
In this case, we have chosen Oracle to be our partner because they have strong capabilities in security. They are providing software assurances as well to the code that's inside.
They have a code.
We have rigorous data access protocols such that only a team made up of U.S. residents can have access to that U.S. data.
Well, that doesn't sound very secure.
So again, it's a solvable problem. No.
Okay, so that does not solve the problem because those that are in part of the U.S. team work for the Democratic Party. So then they basically wash their hands of the concern and let it be a United States of America problem, which is the problem.
We have built what I think is an unprecedented solution.
When he's freaking went to Harvard. So my question and concern is, do you give a crap about the American people that got you your education, you fool?
This problem is extremely.
You've got children that are involved on the planet.
But there's a commitment to addressing some.
This is all fluff talk.
So this is FBI leader Chris Wray to the House Homeland Security Committee. He said he's, quote, extremely concerned that under Chinese law, Chinese companies are required to do whatever the Chinese government wants them to do in terms of.
This is where they like to point fingers in the wrong direction. They're talking about the Chinese government. However, this is a corporation operating within the Chinese government who's just told you that he gave permission over to the Democratic Party, which is United States citizens, to run the American department in association with TikTok. So the guy interviewing is not even comprehending and listening to what the guy is saying, meaning they're all fluff talking.
Sharing information or serving as a tool of the Chinese government.
It has nothing to do with the Chinese government, and it has everything to do with the Chinese government.
What happened happens in the reality, behind the scenes, in terms of how this actually works or happens?
So the FBI director, through his team, through CFIUS, is
This is an example of somebody who can bullshit you and lie to you at the same time. What do you call it? It doesn't matter what kind of energy you come at him, whether you're attacking him, whether you're kind to him. What he's able to do is he's able to come at you in a calm demeanor and then make you believe that you're safe. When the reality behind the scenes is that he's running an organization that's basically a mafia. Organized crime, but modern day.
has access to the discussions and the plans that we are building to solve and address this problem.
So they say they never in any of these interviews ever go to the specific resources of what they're actually doing. That's what you want to get, why these are such a waste of time across the board for any what do you call it? Discussion. And this is a New York Times interview, by the way.
I'm confident that this will address the concerns that he has raised.
Okay, well, what are the concerns?
Now, for us,
Because it's like, these are the concerns, and this is how we'll address them, but nothing is in any form is ever evolved into defining, explaining, and assisting humanity. This isn't even about Americans. This is about globally.
No foreign government has asked us for U.S. user data before. Really, they haven't. And if they did, we would say no. We have a transparency report that we.
So now we're going to take his word that if any government ever asked us for U.S. data, that we would say no. And that's all he has is going to back that up with.
Like most other consumer internet companies. And in the report.
And then he uses his hands.
Set out the details of the various data requests that various governments around the world have asked of the citizens of their country.
Well, what is that? What exactly are those?
So you can keep your eye on the report.
So you can keep your eye on the report.
Requests that we are disclosing.
What we're disclosing. You're not disclosing anything.
What I wonder about is the algorithm.
The algorithm.
I want to get into how well that algorithm works.
How well the algorithm works.
You can separate the algorithm and the technology.
This is going to be
completely
good.
and utterly
Shoo.
in the United States versus having to be somehow connected to China.
The algorithm is separate today.
Okay. The algorithm is somewhat separate. However, once again, this interviewer doesn't know how to operate in an interview session because he needs to be operating and asking about how people are going viral so quickly and what is that doing to the psychological well-being of humanity. And then he needs to talk about how their favoritism toward violence and abuse on the app. Meaning, why are they increasing violent abuse and allowing that to go viral?
The code is also separate at this point in time. It's machine learning. So the algorithm is trained by input.
The machine learning, the algorithm is trained.
And TikTok doesn't operate in China. TikTok operates here in the US, operates in many other countries around the world. And that's the input that is training the algorithm.
Training the algorithm.
And so our understanding.
Okay, so we're training the algorithm, and the algorithm is trained by bots that are controlled by celebrities like Kim Kardashian and Monavand. Or people with large amounts of volume following them who went viral for animal abuse or child abuse. So that is increasing the types of material that are going to go viral.
That the original algorithm was a ByteDance algorithm. You think is old news?
This is definitely very outdated. There is some original code. I think that's what you meant.
Mm-hmm.
There's some original code.
So what's the code?
Set up ages ago.
How much influence and power do you think you have at the company? And the reason I ask is there's actually a New York Times article that raised this very question. And the
If you look at this guy who's interviewing, he looks like a Democrat, and he looks like a weirdo alien.
Of the Chinese government.
I am responsible for all the strategic decisions at TikTok. But I do want to explain ByteDance, because you raised it. It is organized the way you would expect an internet company to be organized. About half our investors on the cap table are global investors.
Okay, what they're doing now is they put in a energy from the New York Times to tell me that I'm mean. Ugh. While this guy is fluffing ass.
Folks like Carlyle, BlackRock, General Atlantic, we have a board made up of shareholder representatives. So, for example, a representative from General Atlantic, from Sequoia, from Cotu, and from SIG, which is a financial software firm, a very early investor in the company. They constitute the board together with Rubo, who represents the employees. So it is organized exactly what you would expect. An internet technology company.
What will we expect?
And for me, I'm responsible for the decisions at TikTok. But ultimately, I have to be responsible to the shareholders and to the board as well.
So what are we supposed to make? There have been reports that there were
How was that
Chinese
answered?
who had access to maybe not U.S. consumers, but others along the way.
Access to what?
Access to accounts.
Access to accounts.
Well, first of all, we have very
So first of all, let me just tell you that the conversation here is very awkward, disconnected, and in defense. So he is definitely hiding something, and he is not asking the right questions. So we're miscommunicating from that place. And the dude who's part of the New York Times is a liar.
Data access protocols. Just like any other consumer internet company in the past, data access is organized by requirement. Every company does this, including some of the companies you interviewed today. What this means is that if you're an engineer and you have a global talent pool, and you require access to some data to build a part of your product, you have to request that access, and it's based on requirement. There's a strict protocol, do you need it or not? If you do, requirement is granted, access is granted.
So this right here is an example of him holding space for the energy so nobody can insert themselves into hearing the truth.
He organizes this by nationality. Nobody goes, this nationality, that nationality. Nobody organizes it like that.
It's energy control.
In the future, we're going to organize it the way I just described it. We're going to move the data to the Oracle Cloud infrastructure, and only a team of US residents are going to have access to that data. This is, again, like I said, a solution that no other company is trying to pursue.
You made an interesting comment about the U.S. version of TikTok being very different than the Chinese version, effectively.
The US version is different from the UK version.
But let me ask you this. The Chinese version, you could argue, is censored. You agree with that?
Douyin has to follow Chinese. Douyin is the Chinese company that has the short video product. Douyin has to follow Chinese media laws.
And so when you think about those media laws, and then you think about what you're doing here in the U.S., one of the things that those media laws are trying to do, for example, is to prevent children from getting addicted to scrolling on TikTok.
My point is these fools have children, and they don't give two shits, nor do they see the underlining real concern here. Because now that he's bullshitting us by saying about children getting addicted, however, the real concern is partially about the young children getting addicted, but the concern is the pornography, the inappropriate behavior between one person to the next, the bullying, the suppression, the favoritism, et cetera, the one-sided political belief systems. It's like never ending, not to mention the violent abuse that goes on outside of TikTok, or the manipulation tactics that go on by participating and watching TikTok by sirens like Monavand.
In the US, that doesn't exist. Should it?
First of all, we take minor safety extremely seriously. One of the first things I did when I took on this role was to make sure that minor safety is at the top of the list in terms of safety and privacy.
Did you see how I did that? The first thing I wanted to tell you that we make child safety the number one priority.
Of the company. Now, I also want to describe how the platform actually works.
Please.
It's user-generated content. So the content that you're going to see is generated by users. Here in the US and in the UK and other places where TikTok operates, we do have rules. The way TikTok works is that we do have about 13 rules. We call these rules community guidelines. It's published on our website. You can go have a look. And these are
Don't get me fucking started, you fucking prick. You know damn well those community guidelines are guided toward you all winning. And I'm talking about your socialites. Meaning it's okay for one person and not okay for another person to post. Because even as I'm sitting here watching it, I'm wanting to believe in what you're saying because that's how manipulative you are. However, I ain't that stupid.
rules on what content we allow and disallow on the platform. These are things like no pornography, no violence, no misinformation, and we built our trust and safety team.
Literally, they are the biggest hypocrites on planet Earth here. They allow all of those things, and there is no community guidelines. It's separation and suppression and favoritism that has everything to do with what you look like, what you're feeding people, the Democratic Party, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
To take these rules, build policies around them, and operationalize it so that we can go through all the content and remove the violative content. So that's the way the platform works.
Do you notice how he used the word disinformation, which is what kind of word? It's a Democrat word.
So far, you've
And now he's
managed
getting
to-
defensive.
I don't think you were keeping it from happening, but the way the site is designed, you're not really in the news business yet. There's not a lot of news, if you will, on TikTok. Do you ever think?
Are you on TikTok?
I am.
See, so we have news.
See, we have news.
But do you see over time? I mean, a lot of the issues, frankly, and we talked with Mark Zuckerberg earlier, that he has struggled with, that Elon Musk is contending with, relates to the news business, relates to information in a different way.
Damn it, Hazel, stop it.
I think every company has a different mission. Every company is different. The mission that we have is to inspire creativity and to bring joy. And the product that we have built is a product that is built to fulfill this mission. So that means that, does news content inspire creativity? Yes. Does it bring joy? Yes. And that's the kind of content that we have
Yes.
built a product
Does it bring joy? Yes.
try and optimize for.
But are you starting to see more political
There will be
content? And people talk about the presidential election.
Oh, he went like this,
2024.
sorry. He was
How
like
much do you
this.
think about
There will
that?
be.
And then all of the information or misinformation, or you were talking with Mark Zuckerberg about there was a deep fake of him.
There are various topics here. On misinformation, it violates our guidelines.
Keanu Reeves
So
has a
we do
deep
have
fake.
a very significant, large investment in making sure that we're tackling misinformation. So that is one of the guidelines that's very dear to us.
This is so bullshit, y'all. Oh my God, this guy's so
We don't
bullshit.
actually accept political ads. And as far as I know, we are the only platform of our scale that doesn't allow that, because we don't think that this necessarily, helps us fulfill our mission. Does it inspire creativity? Does it bring joy? So we've decided that political ads are not necessarily for us. If anyone wants to come and express their view, as long as it doesn't violate the 13 guidelines that we've laid down, you can express whatever view you want.
Oh my God. He is so full of shit. As long as you express what we want you to express, then you can express anything you want. But as long as you express what we want you to express.
And you're going to see, as our platform achieves ubiquity and is loved by millions of people in this country, you're going to see all sorts of views appear on the platform.
What do you think of the metaverse?
I think it's too early to tell.
Do you imagine ever investing in that space?
I think new technology is.
He's already
that
invested.
Technology is fascinating, and you can imagine interesting and useful use cases in the metaverse. But at the same time, where we are in terms of the adoption curve is so early that I think we need to proportionately give it that sort of weight in terms of investments. And
Selfish
of course,
prick.
any of these new formats and technology, we pay a lot of attention to it. But our assessment is that it's still quite early at this point in time.
What do you think about? We've talked about it practically now at every session. What do you think about a TikTok? I'm sorry, you are TikTok.
I think it's great.
What do you think about Twitter and what's happening there?
I'm following the news like I guess all of us on Twitter.
Are you on Twitter?
I am on Twitter. I'm following the news as well. I think, look, Elon is a very successful entrepreneur. He's making changes at the company. I think it's
He's very, I gotta go take a look at what his wife looks like, because when I made this face, in his mind, he said, don't look ugly. When I made a face, which caused me to have lines back down here, in his mind, he said, don't look ugly. Now, you want to get that when it comes to the platform.
We're paying a lot of attention.
Are you surprised that all those advertisers aren't staying on the platform?
I don't know the details of what the conversations there, but I do think that platforms need to invest in trust and safety. I think platform safety is something.
So this is a con to get you to believe that TikTok is trust and safety.
Do they use TikTok?
No, they're too young for that.
So what ages are they?
8 and 6.
Okay.
TikTok is here in the US. If you're below 13, you get a very restricted version of TikTok. And in many other countries around the world, we don't allow users who are below 13. Even if you are a teenager, we have invested in a lot of tools for the parents of the teenagers to be able to have more control of the experience that they.
God, I cannot imagine being the child of this fool.
Children are having.
He's boring as shit. He's a terrible father.
A significant amount in understanding the issues that could arise from sort of teenage use, and making sure we're investing enough to address those concerns.
Does not know how to be a person or a parent.
And your teenage child is on TikTok, go to settings, there's family pairing. Click on it, it's going to give you a lot of tools to manage your teenager's experience.
What do you think a reasonable amount of time is that people should spend on TikTok?
I'm like, are you even human?
People should have freedom to spend as much time as they want on anything, to be honest. But as far as I know, we were the first platform to start pushing out messages if you spend too much time on the platform. So it depends on your age.
He just told on himself. Pushing out messages. He said, we're the first platform responsible for pushing out messages.
It depends on the time of the day.
Depends on the time of the day.
I'm not sure how many of you use TikTok here.
How many people use TikTok here?
There's Wi-Fi, by the way, for those who haven't.
Wi-Fi?
You can find it on the app stores, any app store. Sorry.
Any app store?
Depending on your age and depending on the time of the day, we will send you messages to tell you to get off the platform.
Depending on the time of the day, we'll send you messages.
So if you hit one of those messages, that's us telling you.
You hit one of those messages.
There is no hard
deals.
Per se, but once you cross a certain amount of time, again depending on the time of day, we will start telling you, look, maybe it's time to get out.
I know it's a secret sauce, but can you tell us how?
Maybe it's time to get out.
Because I think everybody. It's fascinating how frequently it is sending you stuff that you want to see. And whether that's a good thing, by the way.
It's just math.
He just punched me in the face.
The way the machine learning algorithm works is that it takes all your behavioral signals, which is built into your own experience you're using.
So this is an example of Cyborg.
For example, how long you stay on a video, how quickly you swipe it, do you share it,
Cyborg.
do you comment, do you like it?
Mood.
It takes those behavioral signals, it organizes it mathematically, and it matches it with content that matches with your behavior. And through that, we recommend the content. The machine recommends it.
We recommend the content. The machine recommends the content. The Democrats recommend the content.
To your question, there's also dispersion mechanisms so that you're not seeing the same thing all the time. Of course there is.
When you think, though, about what this is going to be in the future, what do you want it to be? I mean, if we were talking 5 years from now, is this an entertainment company? Is it a media platform, a social media platform? What is this?
I go back to the mission of the company, which is to inspire creativity and to bring joy. The creativity that we mean here is not the narrow definition of just creating a short video. What we are hoping to achieve is to unleash human creativity, through connecting people and through discovery of new information. The way we want to do it is that we want to provide 3 things to our users. 3. We want to provide a window to discover.
Psychosis.
The For You page. If you open the app, the first thing that you see looks like
For You.
And the recommendation algorithm helps you discover new content. So that's the window. It's like, think of it as a window to explore a whole new world. We then want to provide
whole new
canvas
world.
for you to create.
A canvas.
And the canvas is for you to, through our investments in all these effects and filters and
Abuse to humanity.
generation capabilities, allow you to publish and express yourself. And of course, we have the guidelines that we talked about
The
to make
guidelines.
sure that it remains a safe environment so that you can.
It's not a safe environment. We're telling you it's not a safe environment.
And the last thing is bridges to connect people. And this is really fascinating because
This is a concern.
what we have discovered over time is that through our app, people have discovered their communities. It can be very trivial. Like if you're a dog lover, you're going to see a lot of dogs. If you don't like cats, you're not going to see cats. If you're a cat lover, you're going to see a lot of cats. But it could also be important things like there's something called Book Talk. Are you aware of it?
I do know about Book Talk.
The Book Talk has, the last time I checked, 70 billion views globally. It's a movement where people post about their favorite books. And I read somewhere that it's become one of the most important trends that's causing young people to read more, which I think is great. It's given a voice to a lot of minority authors who never had their voice before. It's about discovering, it's about connecting people. And
It's about
finding the
selling
community you have.
the information they want you to sell.
I met this guy, his name is Brian. Brian moved from New York to Tennessee. I met him in Nashville. He used to be a photographer. And during COVID, he was sick of living in the city because of the lockdowns. So he moved to Nashville and he started farming. And through that, through posting on TikTok, he discovered a community of people like him, sort of urban dwellers who have discovered this urge to reconnect with nature and farm. And through this,
It's not
he's
true.
built a proper business. He's selling like agricultural products on TikTok right now. And I think it's great. It's about bridges that we are providing to connect people together.
He says
You have
bridges.
millions of these stories
What's this mean?
all around the country every day.
Wait, what does this mean?
I do want to open up to questions. We only got a couple more minutes, and I see a hand. I see Bill Ackman actually right there in the middle. If we can get a microphone to Bill, that would be great. And
This
then
is
we'll try
unreal.
to get around the rest of the room as quickly as we can.
Moving along, let's go. Because now the New York Times guys are all like, oh.
Product and company, and it sounds like you care a lot about the content.
Okay, Fluff Talk first. They always do this
There are
shit.
some sort of personal tragedies that come from people who spent time on TikTok. So, for example, a lot of young women in particular, young girls, have eating disorders that came about as a result of content on
Thank
TikTok.
you.
Where, bad. It's hard for me to speak because of the echo. But so that's one example. Another example is teenage vaping, for example, where promotion of teenage vaping as a way to lose weight or as something that's cool, etc. How do you think about moderating that?
I'm currently
kind of
flipping
content,
these
which
people.
Is not pornography. It's not on your list of issues, but really can cause profound harm.
First of all, as a father of 2 children myself, whenever I hear about these tragedies,
This is Fluff Talk.
A lot of these trends that you talked about have existed before our platform existed. But I think we have a responsibility to invest more, to make sure that any of these trends or any of these type of content that is not suitable for young people is given the right amount of investment.
Which they
to
do
be moderated
nothing.
off the
This is the
platform.
thing, is
We
Fluff
have
Talk.
differentiated experience. If
This
you
is
are
every
below
political system. This
18,
is so, like,
and
everything they
everyone
do is
investment,
they do nothing.
needs to go into that to stay ahead of our growth.
Stay ahead of our growth is what I'm worried about.
Right, sir.
Our growth is what I care about.
Hello? Oh, there we go.
You're good.
Thank you, Andrew, for picking me up.
This is such bullshit, dude. You're so fucking
I
psycho.
also just arrived from Asia, actually. We might be the only
He's
two
like, yeah, I
coming
am.
from Asia, coming from Vietnam. I also actually own a media company that has the same license as TikTok in Vietnam. TikTok's the only major platform to actually have an office in Vietnam.
And he's
Facebook
talking
doesn't,
like this.
Google doesn't. They operate
He
from
does not like
Singapore,
TikTok.
mostly for data reasons, which just leads me to my question. We're talking a lot about U.S. data privacy and users. How do you guys operate in other countries? a country like Vietnam, which is 100 million people, it's one of the largest markets.
Did you hear about the movement that the U.S. did with the Perfect Team with all those millions of people in Vietnam?
But increasingly in the future, we expect data localization to be a theme. I think data security is important. Some of these concerns raised are concerns that we have looked into deeply.
He's like, he is a W, dude. He is a facade. He's a fake. He's an empty space bot.
In the future, of course, it's not going to be in every single country, but
it's not going to be in every single country.
Regions are going to be localized.
Some regions will be localized.
This is a long-term trend.
Long-term trend.
We have one more question here.
We will fucking destroy you, he says.
Hi, Maggie Wilderotter. Thank
So
you
don't
so
you
much
even
for
try
being
in
here.
Vietnam to compete with us.
One of the questions I had was based upon what you just spoke about. You mentioned a number of countries that they are able to have kids.
You should see his
watch
face
TikTok
because he knows who that guy
and
is.
experience it at 13. But you said in the United States there's an exception.
He grounds
Like
his
a
feet,
different
his hands are in
app
his
that
lap.
takes it down into younger children. Why do you do that in the U.S.?
It is a legal requirement. It is a legal requirement to provide people below a certain age, in this case under 13, a different app. So you will see this is why all consumer apps.
Oh, I want to let you know that I follow the laws. However, I just told you prior that
It's actually very interesting. Is why have the
if you're under the age of such and such, we limit your use of TikTok to very secure.
I don't know where they are.
You just have really no idea how detrimental this state of TikTok
They
is.
didn't lie about their
I
age.
utilize TikTok very well as what the platform is for. There's some of my content is probably a little over the top, but that's done on
What do you
purpose.
think of that? Just the idea that should this exist for kids who are under 13 at all?
I can share more details with you offline, but this is a legal requirement in the United States.
This is a legal requirement. I follow all the laws. I work with the Democratic Party, he
Yes.
says.
Just to help end this piece of the conversation.
He's like, just get this shit over
It's a
with.
legal requirement that kids under 13 have to have a different app,
Yes.
effectively. But I guess the question is, do they have to have an app at all? Could you limit it so that it?
No,
that
he
the
wants them
kids
to
don't
have an app
access
because he
to it?
wants to
Is this something you
brainwash
think
them.
about?
They want to brainwash the children,
The
yo.
answer is no. Like, as in terms of the legal requirement doesn't allow me to do this. But I think
But
I can do
if
this.
there was legal allowance, I would definitely do
And
it.
just for all of us old folk who don't know any better, who should we be following on TikTok?
Oh, please follow me.
Haha. Follow me, haha. This is example of the money mongrel in the Monovan clan.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Haha.
Appreciate it.
Haha.
Everybody, thank you.
What a fucking joke, man. And then the crowd leaves smiling off of that. So do you see how they
Please
work?
welcome back Andrew Ross Sorkin and his guest, the founder and co-CEO of Netflix, Reed Hastings.
This guy, let me show you who it is. Let's see if I can flip this. He is such a pretentious prick. He's like a comedy act. Can you see him? Let me see. Dang it. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see him. He's not really about humans. This is my concern. You know, like he would have had potential. The concern is he has no care about humanity. He only cares about himself, how he looks, and his career. And in order to continue the pure path of what he thinks is pure, is to do exactly what they tell him to do. However, this will only last for him so long until he starts getting tired of following the rules. So it will never ever be about helping people. It will only be about him getting too big for his britches. And then he'll start stepping on the tails or the feet of the people that he's following currently. And then when that happens, he'll see their true colors. And then he'll either continue to do what they say, or he'll be cut loose and then put into the spaces of where the rest of us are. So that's how it works, fools. And so right now he's high on life, and he is not humble, and he is a freaking prick following the masses, and he's an empty soul with nothing in there. He has no emotion but fake fucking shit that the Vandy clan operates under, and is fucking bullshit.